Good morning, everyone. Got your coffee? I got mine. So listen, last night we had the scariest thunderstorm last night. And when I tell you I am still clearly traumatized from Hurricane Helene, you know, the first time I ever came to South Carolina, it was during a hurricane. And the hurricane, it was kind of scary, but it wasn't too bad. We were staying in this hotel and we were on vacation and it wasn't too bad. And then when we moved here to South Carolina in 2019, there was a hurricane going on. And I believe it was Dorian. And we lost power for 45 minutes. It rained, you know, it rained a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And then Hurricane Helene came. And I saw just how bad a hurricane can be. And when I tell you I am still clearly traumatized from that event, because last night when that power went off and those trees got to bending and folding back and woo, shit started blowing around outside, you know. Hold on one second. My library pantry is okay. I just wanted to make sure it was okay because the last time it did not survive these conditions, remember? Which is why we got the green ones and not that big red one anymore. But anyway, the shit started falling down, falling over, moving around. Yeah, the metal ones were a much better idea and the shorter ones were a much better idea because they withstood it. But anyway, it wasn't even our city that was mostly affected. I hear it was next door in West Columbia. And they say that a tornado hit. I don't know how true that is, but it was still pretty scary. And then when them lights went out, flickered and went out, and I thought to myself, oh my God. Oh my God. Because it was so freaking hot last night. And I've said it many times before, I'm an asthmatic. We can't deal with this kind of humidity without any air. Not a severe asthmatic like myself. You have to, like for your own health, you have to go find air conditioning, which means paying for a hotel room. And that shit is expensive. You know, I always think back to that hurricane and, you know, people really helped us through that. People really helped us through that. I can't say thank you enough for that. It took me right back to that. But anyway, it's the morning. We have lights. We have power. And all of that rain and gust and wind, it did do away with a lot of that humidity. Still supposed to be hot today, but I don't feel that humidity. Anyway, let me get going saying what I want to say. I want to say thank you to some people. I want to say thank you. Claudette, thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate you. Claudette got it down to the dollar amount. She said, I want this to go for the library pantry. I want this to go for backpacks. And I want this to go for the Great Escape. I shall do everything that you told me to do, dear heart. I shall do it. Speaking of backpacks, thank those of you all who are becoming involved in this. You know, I really didn't need y'all to do this, but it does make things easier for me. I'm still just going to get, get them two, one or two at a time. I've decided that since, a couple of y'all have jumped in, I'm going to do 12 instead of 10. But that's it, folks. That's it. Keith, thank you so much for supporting the latest one. Now, do y'all think I should just stick with this one for boys and this kind for girls? Or do you think I should switch them up? Because listen, they have them in other colors. They have like pink, they have blue, they have like a camouflage one, a green camouflage one, a blue camouflage one. They have one with trains on it. Do you think I should switch them up or just keep them like this? Because the black ones are the cheapest ones. The color ones, for if you want a little color, you have to pay more for the backpacks. But I don't know. They don't seem fair. They don't seem right. I think I'll keep them at those because I do want to keep the cost down. So I think I'll keep it at black. And then that daisy one for girls because that daisy one, why do I want to keep seeing daisy? And that's a sunflower. Anyway, the sunflower one, It's a little bit more than the black one, but it's not as much as the pink ones or the blue ones, you know, or the camouflage ones. So yeah, I think I'll stick it. I've answered my own question. Anyway, thank you so much. And then Lynette. Lynette, thank you so much, baby. I appreciate you. You always come through. And the same thing with you, Miss Vita. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all so much for just, I don't know, always being so supportive. You know, I heard something this morning that said it was an advertisement for a movie or something like that. And in the movie, the actor Sterling K. Brown said, the only way black people can climb this mountain is together. And I was like, it really is. It's the only way. Black people have to take care of each other. You know, with that being said, though, can I tell you a little bit of a story? I got a story this morning. I had a girlfriend. Thank you, Troy. I had a girlfriend, and we were cool. And immediately I met her during a time in my life when I was not in my best self. I wasn't. I was broken and unhealed and trying to navigate life and didn't know how. And I was fucked up. I was. I'm not gonna lie, but she was too. And we were both kind of just trying to, we found each other during this time, and we were both, at least I thought, we were both kind of just on this healing journey, trying to figure our shit out. And then we were both in therapy, and we had inspired and encouraged each other to go to therapy. And she didn't stick with it, though, but I did. Remember, I told you I was in therapy for 10 years. This is right around that time, the beginning of that time. And I did. And so the years passed, and she's a really good friend. And I started to heal, and I started to get better, started getting back to work again, started making money again, started getting my life together. And she was still in survival mode. And so I wanted to help her. And in the beginning, it was like, now mind you, my oldest son was in college at the time, and I was helping him too. And I just got in this apartment, and life was good, and I was figuring out a lot of my shit. And so she was struggling. Unlike B. Smith, I don't watch my friends struggle. If I can do something about it, even if it's just, so you can get your little extras, I'll give you money for that. I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, but, I had enough to share. And so every week I made it a point to give her $75. That was what I had to spare. And I gave her $75. Now, this wasn't $75 today, because we know $75 today is, it helps, but, it doesn't go as far as it did back then. So every week I gave her that, and she started, now full disclosure, this friend, I don't know how important this is to the story, but the only reason why I mention it is so that I can kind of explain why maybe she got the way that she got. This friend is bisexual. Now, I didn't know she was bisexual until I knew she was bisexual. She had entered into this throuple. Now, mind you, she was still not healing. And she entered into this very unhealthy relationship with this married couple. And she was having these feelings of jealousy, resentment, envy, that I was trying to tell her, you don't need this in your life. Plus, they had 3 kids, and they had all moved in with her. And I was like, girl, you need to, and then I would let her come over my house on the weekends so that she could kind of just get away from all the people that was using and abusing her, I felt like, in my opinion. Plus, my home was quiet. It was a sanctuary. Every time I have a home, I have a home situation, it's always a sanctuary. That's why it's so hard to get people to leave my house. People get very, very, very comfortable. Y'all seen the pictures of my back. That's just my back porch area. But people get very, very comfortable, and it's like, go home. But anyway, it got to a point where she became extremely, extremely, extremely dependent. And it was making me uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. She called me up, asked me what I did with my day, and I would tell her, because I had other friends, I would go out, I would do this, I would hang out. And I guess she started seeing me live a life in existence that healing can bring forth. And she got out of the situation with this couple finally, thank goodness. Them kids weren't going to school or anything, and it seemed like I was the only adult with common sense that was speaking on it. Because I didn't mean to come down. Those are their kids, but why are your kids not in school? And why are all you adults, all y'all care about is fucking and sucking each other? And these kids, meanwhile, they not in school. And I was real concerned about what these kids were seeing. So yeah, I always had an opinion. But after a while, I just kind of left it alone because I was like, you know what? I don't have to live this. This isn't my life. This isn't my existence. I can just go home. So anyway, it got to a point where she got clingy in a way that made me feel very uncomfortable. Now, don't get me wrong. I count myself, even though I can't call myself an ally to the LGBTQIA community. People are what they are. I'm a straight woman. I am not bi. I am not gay. I'm straight. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have, I understand that sexuality, varies. And I think that's one of the reasons why, not that it's even for me to even say, but it's why I'm so accepting of that community, because I really do believe that people are born the way that they are. And that sexuality, we have no choice in our sexuality. I have no choice in the fact that I am a straight person, just like she has no choice in the fact that she is a bisexual, attracted to both sex people. Well, she started getting clingy, and she started acting like a jealous lover. And she started getting very controlling, very domineering. And I'm like, you know what? Speaking of who don't need what in their life, I don't need this in my life. Plus, it got to the point where I was helping her out. And in the beginning, like I said, this is the whole point of the story. I was helping her out financially, but it got to a point where she went from, oh, you don't have to do this. This is too much. I'm not your responsibility in this way. It went to that, to me, helping my friend, to her expecting it and demanding it and abusing it, So I just got myself out of the situation, and I just cut ties with this particular girlfriend, because one thing about me is I'll burn a bridge. That's one thing about me, is I will cut a tie. I will burn a bridge. When you making me uncomfortable and you making me feel like I owe you, instead of making me feel like I'm someone that you value and you respect and you understand. Look, if a person does nice things for you, I think that it is very telling our character how we treat that long term, especially if they're giving us long term help and assistance. Even if it's just on the short term, it can be a 1 or 2 and done. My husband had a coworker every Friday, every payday, or the day after, something like that, needed to borrow $20, and he'd always give it to him. He'd say, "Well, he good for it, he always pay it back." So, but I'm like, it's every single week. And I had another friend that was like that too. She way back in the day, she became very dependent on me. I know y'all like, well, Gardner, get to the point. Where you going with this? My point is, don't take advantage of people's kindness. Just because a person shows you kindness takes strength. Not only does kindness take strength, but it takes foresight. Because most people are kind. You see that we have so many rich people in this nation, but what do they do for poor people? Nothing. It's the people who have been in our situations before, the people who have struggled, that tend to be the kindest, most understanding people because they have foresight. They know what it's like to struggle, and they know what it's like to need help, and they know what it's like to have something like $5 make a difference to their day. And these are the people who tend to be the most generous. I can literally tell the difference in those people when they like donate to the platform. These are not people who have lots and lots and lots of money. These are people that just understand a cause because at some point in their life, they benefited from a cause. You know what I'm saying? And people start thinking that because people are kind, that we are stupid. Kind people are not stupid. Again, kind people didn't just been there, done that. Don't abuse kind people. As someone who believes in climbing that mountain with my people, pulling my people up, taking each other by the hand, it hurts my heart so bad when my people try to use me, abuse me, or you take my kindness and weaponize it against me. Because I'm not stupid, I'm not going to let you do it. But it's the fact that you would even do it in the first place. I end every video trying to remind people to be kind. Do something nice for someone. If you can make a difference in their day, hell, in their moment, do it. But for the rest of you that need that kindness, that need that love, that need that understanding, don't use the helpers. Don't abuse the givers. We help out of love. Don't turn love ugly. Don't turn love against you. Don't take that bad karma unto yourself. Because I'm telling you, the givers and the helpers are usually the most protected. We are. And our spirit guides do not like it when you use and abuse us. Stop using people. Stop trying to get over on people. Stop trying to hurt people because you got a diabolical spirit. If you can't make it better, don't make it worse. And that goes for both sides of that coin. If you can't help a person, don't make it worse. And if you need help, don't abuse the helper. Don't make it worse. Don't make the helper not want to help anymore. Because we need the helpers. That is all that I have to say today. I want to thank you all again for tuning in. I want to thank y'all for listening to me. If you would like to support the platform or the Library Pantry or the Great Escape, I will leave my Venmo and my Cash App down in the comments. Have a good day. Have a righteous day. Live right, y'all. That's the only way you're going to live a rich life. Have a good one.